ego, about not having an ego?
That's a good question. It really is. You know, a lot of people who get into this on this spiritual path begin to say that that I'm more spiritual than you, and therefore that makes me better. You know, and so you have to remember that this is not, even in this whole world of spirituality and higher consciousness, it's never about being better than anyone else. As I've said so many times, true nobility is not about being better than anyone else. It's just about being better than you used to be.
How can one teach or share the Tao and practice it at the same time?
I'm not really focused even on teaching it. I went out and lived it for a year, and I wrote a book about it, and I put it out there, and those people who want to read it and buy it, and you know, it's there for them. If they don't, I have no interest in listening to what the critics say. I let go of all of that a long time ago, because I think it's easier to sit in an air-conditioned booth and watch other people perform and then criticize them. I think it's much more important to just be a doer and do what you do. I don't write my books for anyone else. I don't write them to sell. I don't write them to be on the bestseller list. I don't write them to make money. I write because writing is what I am. It's in my heart. And if I can't do that, then I would feel incomplete. I would almost feel like I would die. It would be no longer any reason to live. It's never about the outcome. It's never about other people's opinion. It's not about being more spiritual than everyone else. Each and every one of us. There's not a soul on this planet. There's not a bird. There's not an ant out there that doesn't come from the same source and doesn't return to the same source. Each and every one of us are equal in the eyes of God.
The divine, if we are in fact one and all, then it's going to somehow take care of itself. Is that sort of a belief in destiny?
And that's another great question. Carl Jung once said that at the same moment that you're a protagonist in your own life and you're making choices, at the very same moment you're also the spear carrier or the extra in a much larger drama. You know, we are making choices, he said, but we are all doomed to make choices, which is a paradox. You know, we're doomed, that is, it's all set up for us, and we're also making choices. And if you want to get to the highest place in the Bhagavad-gita, the great ancient spiritual text of the Hindu faith, you know, the Bhagavad-gita teaches us, that means Song of the Lord. It teaches us that you have to learn to blend the two opposites and live with two opposite ideas at the same time. I am a choice maker, I am out there, I have a free will, and at the same time, I am being lived by the Tao. And both of those, while they may contradict each other, it's the way of life, because what doesn't contradict? Think about who you are. Think about who you are right now listening to this. Who you are is this thing that's in physical form. It has a beginning, it has an end, it has substance to it, you can touch it, you can feel it, you get a hold of it. And also who you are is totally and completely invisible. That part of you which is listening to this and processing this and thinking about it and wondering about it is invisible. It has no form. You are form and formless all at the same moment. If I want to just wiggle my finger, it's an amazing thing to be able to just take this finger and wiggle it, because here's the finger and I wiggle it. What makes it wiggle it? You know, you can go inside of my brain and you can find, you know, that which allows it to happen, but you can never find the interior, the invisibleness within each and every one of us that just says, I'm going to wiggle my finger. That's just a thought. It's invisible. You can't get a hold of that. You can't grab that thought. So I am that, and I am also the finger that is wiggling. I'm both. And that paradox is something we all have to learn to live with and stop fighting it. It's just in the way of things.
The comedian David Cross said, what does God get out of it? Worship, creation. If it's not too indulgent, can you speculate what you think Source receives from our contribution?
There was a great Indian saint who came over to the Western world in the early part of the 20th century. His name was Vivekananda. And he offered this observation, this quote, if you want to understand what God gets out of it and how to get there. He said, go out in the springtime and observe the blossoms on the fruit trees. He said, the blossoms vanish as the fruit grows. So too will the lower self vanish as the divine grows within you. It's like a container. You just let more divinity go in, more service, more living the virtues, more of that. And as you fill yourself with this, rather than the ego and what's in it for me and what can I get, the blossoms vanish, and so too, and the fruit grows, and so too does this false self. It just vanishes. It goes away. The ego goes away, and the divine grows within you.
Thank you for the comfort you've given so many with your work and focus. One last question. Can I have some of your old dental floss? Because I want to sell it on eBay.
On eBay.
As much as you can spare, actually, because
Absolutely.
I'm speculating that a sweater made out of it would go for top dollar.
A sweater made of my I like that.